お願いします。Today I'll read Shokushu number 20, Intoku. Just like the number 1 can never become 0, our words or actions never disappear once they are created. A good action causes a good result, and a bad action causes a bad result. This always returns to ourselves. A good action means acting without expecting a return, or getting attention from people, or bringing happiness and success to ourselves and to our descendants. This is called Intoku in the Japanese language. The highest form of Intoku is to practice the way of the universe, leading others and supporting their practice of this principle. Very nice to see you all. Hope everyone's doing very well. I thought I'd talk about this just because of some of the things that I'm experiencing in my own practice and some things I've been reading lately. So, and this is it's one of those things. It's one of those key sayings that I think is easy to see how it applies to everything in our life, not just in Aikido. But we, I think, at least in my own case, applied it. Over my the time of my practice, I've applied it mostly or more in Aikido. I saw it in a very narrow way, as a kind of applying to the people who are teaching the class and that sort of thing. So to do good in secret, which is what Intoku means, meant to just do good for one person, the teacher. And yet this was, of course, as I've discovered, pretty narrow thinking. This do good in secret applies to everyone. And especially if you're a teacher, this is really important for us to see how it applies to us as a teacher, how we serve and do good for our students, and oftentimes without them realizing. We need to make this attitude a part of our lives. And so this is why Toi Sensei has included it in the Shokushu, of course. But I think just as we practice, you want to be able to do this everywhere, at work, at home, with your spouse, children, parents. And some of us, it may come easier than others. For me, this does not come easy. Someone who, from a young age, has been quite self-absorbed, and so it's easy for me to fall into that, even though I may be practicing Aikido. So again, this kind of goes back to this idea that everything in our life is there to teach us something. So if we have issue at home, difficulty with a loved one, for instance, maybe we could take this key saying more to heart, right? To serve, to do good, without expecting anything in return. This is the key saying. And we often, even we may not admit it to ourselves, do things for a purpose, for a reason. We help others for a reason, often to get noticed, to get attention. Again, this is why as we practice, as we mature, we have to become aware of how this, it never ends, this idea of Intoku. And this is why at the end of the key saying, Toi Sensei says the highest form is to walk the way of the universe and to help others in doing that. The more, of course, we can let go and become aware of our own small thinking, the more we can take care of others in our practice, in our lives. You know, I'm a university professor, and I teach. This semester I'm teaching only, I'm a Spanish teacher, but I'm only teaching honors classes this semester, which are taught in English, not in Spanish. And I teach with a partner. I have a co-teacher. These are interdisciplinary courses, kind of sometimes interesting. We're teaching a class this semester on science fiction and science fact. That's the name of the course. It's a really fun course to teach. We're teaching only freshmen. So these are students who just started this semester. They just started college. And so every class period, we teach early in the morning. I welcome the students as they come in. Good morning, good morning, good morning. And sometimes the students are listening to something with their pods or iPod, their pod in their ear, their headphones, so they don't hear. Other times they're just maybe a little sleepy. And this is really good practice. It's very simple, but I don't get many good mornings back, right? But it's okay. It doesn't matter. That part doesn't matter. Who cares? You know, it's just kind of like a drop by drop, just serving these students. Not so much worrying about how they respond to that. Although there's something there, you know, I am teaching them by doing that, by doing what I'm doing. It's not just talking about a short story or a novel or something or a film. I'm also teaching them just by doing that in the morning. Just how to be with each other, right? So little things like this, you know, and it could be, I could see myself maybe 15 years ago getting discouraged and just stopping because they don't say anything back, or most of them don't. That doesn't matter, you know. And when we're on the mat, when we're in the dojo practicing with our students, if we're a teacher, you know, if one of my students needs something and I see that they need it, I take care of it. I don't wait for someone else to do it. If others see me doing this, great. It's like saying good morning to my freshman students at 8 o'clock every Monday and Wednesday, right? It's that it just sinks in little by little. I don't know what the result will be. It doesn't matter All I know is that this is the way, and that's why I do it. Right? That's why we train. Okay? I'll let you sit with that for a while. Now, there's a lot to say about Intoku, of course. This is just a brief preamble for your own exploration. But if you have any comments or questions, we'll have time at the end of class to talk. Okay, let's start with some key breathing. All right, sitting up straight. Um, in Aikido, we have this practice, this Otomo practice. I didn't say much about that earlier. Which is a good way to learn Intoku. So there's a story, I wasn't there, I did not witness this, but the story I heard about Toi Sensei walking onto the mat in his later years with a student. He had a student helping him, kind of escorting him on the mat as he walked with a cane. And I guess the student wasn't, he was maybe a young person, not very experienced. And Toi Sensei is walking with his cane, and the student slipped. The student who was helping him slipped. And Toi Sensei stuck out his arm and caught the student, kept him from falling. So that's the idea here of, the kind of deeper, more subtle idea of Intoku is just being aware of everything around us and being aware of anything that's needed in any given moment. You see? So in that moment, the student needed some help. And Toi Sensei, of course, just did it. It was just like in him. So that's what we're looking at, regardless of the situation, right? Just whatever is needed. If someone is trying to help us, great. Please help. And anything that is needed in that situation, we can, if we are aware of it, we can provide it. Whether it's a helping hand or offering someone a seat, a chair, something like that. Always with this idea of not expecting anything for doing that. So, maybe someone has a comment or a question about this, about Intoku, and how it applies to your own practice, your own experience. Please feel free to speak up.
Good morning, Sensei.
Reasoner Sensei, hello.
You know, I
Nice to see you.
good to see you too. I'd offer that. Don't think about practicing in Toku. Just be an asset. Just come from your heart when you're around people and in the dojo or at work, and just be an asset. You know, Because the thing of it is, if you think you're practicing Intoku, you ain't practicing Intoku. You know, I mean, I'm gonna do this at this time, so I'll get caught doing a good thing, and then people will think really good of me. No, it's not like that at all. It's if you just continue just being a good person, just doing good things, secretly, unbeknownst to you, it may happen, and somebody will stumble along and go, "Oh wow, this really made my day," and you didn't even know it. It's kind of like one time Curtis Sensei. Uh, he told me, he said, "Oh, Trace, thank you for this." And I went, "Oh, you're welcome." And he went, "Don't ever say that." And I was like, "Oh yeah, you're right," because that's just me taking full credit for everything. Whatever happened, that's me going, "Oh yeah, see, my presence is needed here." No, that's not the way to do it. Expunge your welcome from your vocabulary and just be an asset. That's the what I'd say the best method to go about, and just don't even think about that kind of stuff. That's my 2 cents, I'd say.
Thank you very much for that. Well, you have to start somewhere, right? And when we're like Otomo practice, you've a lot of us have heard this that having an Otomo is often more work for the sensei, right? And so um, we have to bumble and stumble our way through this idea of intoku, of serving, of helping others, uh, before we get to before it can refine itself in us. So I think that's an important thing for us to remember as we're doing this, that I'm always stumbling and fumbling around, and yet it doesn't matter. You make a mistake, you continue about your way. And like you said about the thank you thing, you you don't take credit, and if you make a mistake, you just learn from it, move on. Don't dwell on it. Don't let it affect you, right? Especially when we're otomo, the most important thing is to be in a state of unification as often as possible. And so all of these things take us away from unification and oneness. Yeah, so thank you very much. I know you have a lot of experience with this, the good, the bad, and all of that. It's all good though, right? So thank you.
Oh, Sensei.
Hello, hello, Vernon. Oh, you changed your picture.
Yes,
Ah,
a
beautiful.
great picture on the web. But how does gratitude and Intoku balance and expressing thankfulness and um, not to be overwhelmed with that Intoku um, concept?
That's a really really good question. Yeah, well, gratitude is like it's like taking a breath. Wow, I can take this breath in this moment. I can stand here or sit here on this earth in this moment. That's gratitude, right? That's an example, I guess, like we could say. And if we're grateful, then we'll gladly um, share that with others by helping, right? Um, it's not about expecting gratitude from someone else when we're helping. Uh, as as Reasoner Sensei was suggesting there, we can let go of that. It doesn't matter if the person says thank you or not. I mean, uh, nice, nice, what do you call it, social courtesy. It's not required in this practice or in this life. We just go about, and as we become less and less self-absorbed, we open ourselves to being more available, to serving, to helping, to providing what is required in the moment. So gratitude, I think, is a big part of it, because if we're grateful, if I'm grateful for being here today, then I'll happily help others, right? I'll happily allow others to go first. And this is an important part of our practice. I know you are a member of our dojo, so you're very helpful when we have class, help carry things. But more than that, you've offered to help us rearrange our mats at the dojo so that they take up less space. And not everybody is able or willing to do that. That takes time. It's going to take us hours to do. Clean, to teach a class. All of these things, they take us away from our small, needy self, right? And so we don't like it. I don't want to do that. Let someone else do that. If we're grateful, as I know you are, then we'll gladly give ourselves to others and what they need. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sensei.
Well, I see we're kind of at the just about at the time for the class. I hope everybody takes this Intoku Kisei to heart and please incorporate it into your daily lives throughout the week ahead. And if you have any questions or comments that we didn't get to today, please feel free to share them in a future class. Domo arigatou gozaimashita.